Hey guys, welcome back to another one. Today we'll be going through a Trapping Today post which will be linked in the description. They're a good source of information of trapping and things that come along with it. They are not a sponsor of the channel but are a good company that we would like to support and promote. Traditionally, it's been common to provide a reasonably accurate picture of what the fur market is going to look like by the time fall rolls around and trapping season gets underway. But the past few years have been anything but traditional in the fur market, and uncertainty is the new name of the game. These days, a large percentage of the fur that's harvested in the fall and early winter months won't be sold until the following spring or summer, making it difficult to predict what will happen. But one thing that we know for sure is fur is less demand than it was years ago. And most items are going to be difficult to sell for prices that most fur harvesters would consider reasonable. As they have said in the past, the modern fur market is global. Unlike the historic market where a great deal of domestic production was consumed by North America, today's market relies on buyers in China, Greece, Italy, Russia, and Korea. Unlike in the US, fur is fashionable in these places, and the economic well-being of their consumers is critical on driving the market. China is by far the largest buyer. With global pandemic spreading through urban centers in the country, Chinese cities have been in and out of lockdown for the past year or so. These lockdowns grind local economies to a halt. People cannot get out to shops to buy fur coats and other garments. There's also little reason to spend on fashionable clothing when people aren't going out and socializing like they once did. All this means bad news for fur dealers in China and those who supply them. Similarly, Russia has been one of the largest buyers of fur globally. Despite disruptions in trade as a result of the ongoing war, the value of Russian ruble has held up, indicating that Russia's buying power in relation to the US dollar is pretty good. That said, trade relations have almost completely broke down between Russia and most of the Western world, making it much more challenging environment to sell fur into. With all of that said, there is still a market for wild fur, just not what it once was. It may be more challenging to get furs sold at any price. If you enjoy this type of content, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us out and lets us know that you enjoy this type of content and that we'll make more of it. Fur Harvesters Auction Incorporated is the one remaining fur auction house in North America. It sells a large portion of the wild fur produced in the US and Canada. Travel restrictions from the pandemic and war-related sanctions have made it impossible to hold an in-person auction for international buyers to attend in Ontario. With continued online auctions, fur can be sold, but buyers have less confidence in what they're buying without being able to thoroughly inspect the lots and are often willing to pay less. An eventual resumption of the traditional auction format, perhaps in 2023, should help with fur prices, provided global demand for fur products recover. Grunwald Fur and Wool Company, the largest private buyer of wild fur in the United States, have close connections with the fur market in China and monitors day-to-day sales of fur items in numerous Chinese shops. Grunwald regularly runs fur buying routes across Midwestern United States through the trapping season. After discontinuing many fur buying routes last season due to the lack of fur sales, the company expects to resume routes and actively buy fur this coming season. The question is, how much will they pay? Fashion trends continue to drag on the fur market. Despite all the obvious benefits of fur, its incredible warmth and durability, sustainable management, environmental friendliness, and biodegradability, the necessity to harvest animals to manage healthy populations, and animal rights movements continue to influence the industry and fashion. Several fashion lines have announced that they'll discontinue using fur. Canada Goose, the largest buyer of coyote pelts and the trendsetter in fur line Park of Fashion, has gone fur-free. In addition, several cities in the U.S. have passed rules banning the sale of fur products, and some states are contemplating fur bans as well. Just when we should be celebrating the benefits of wild fur, society seems to be running away from it. We know the overall trend of the fur market isn't great, but what about the specifics on certain species? Even in poor markets, there's usually a bright spot somewhere. Let's take a look. Coyotes. For years, coyotes were one of the standouts in the overall fur market. For years, coyotes were one of the standouts in the overall poor fur market. This was driven primarily by the trendy fur line parka hoods sold by Canada Goose and other similar coat companies. The trend appears to have finally reached its end, and demand for the coyote pelts dropped off a cliff last year. That's unfortunate because coyotes were one of the most prolific fur-bearing species, and humans benefit greatly from the responsible, sustainable levels of coyote harvest. With low levels to come, we may not be seeing much of a harvest for fur, and animal damage control trapping will likely need to play a larger role in harvesting coyotes. The best quality, heavy western coyotes will still be in demand, but at a lower price, likely to be around $30 to $40. With limited demand for coyote pelts, likely will be filled by western heavies. The lower quality eastern and southern coyotes will be priced low, with easterns bringing in 15 to 25 range and the rest being around 10 to 15. Muskrat pelts did okay last year, particularly at the early part of the selling season, but continued low price of ranch mink and lots of held over rat pelts from last year will have an impact. I expect a $2 to $3 average on muskrats. The market for raccoon pelts continued to be very poor. A very abundant item with low demand and high processing costs has created a situation where it's going to be difficult, if not impossible, to sell many raccoon skins at any price. The best quality pelts, the largest sizes that are fully prime and undamaged, will have demand and may sell for $10 to $15, but the rest may not sell at all, or if they do, average will be in the low single digits. It would be wise to only keep the best of your raccoon catch for the fur market. Beaver pelts are used in two very different markets. The most prime northern beaver pelts with long guard hairs and thick underfur command very high value, but these are costly to produce, and demand is limited to a small portion of the overall beaver market. This results in high prices being paid for winter caught beaver from sections that produce dark pelts. These may be turned into plucked, dyed, and sheared garments sold in high-end markets, or into niche items like hats, mitts, and blankets. It only takes a small amount of pelts to satisfy the demand for better quality beaver, and the remainder mostly go to the hatter market. These pelts are ground and crushed into felt to make into cowboy hats. Pelt quality isn't a concern for the low-end markets. Any beaver pelt can be used, and they don't pay well. There seems to be no middle market for beaver pelts these days. Top quality beaver pelts may go for $25 or more this year, which might be only one of the few bright spots in the market, with northern collections likely averaging $15 to $20. Beaver from most other places will probably continue to go for the $10 to $12 range. Beaver castor continues to be in high demand. Low beaver harvest means supply hasn't satisfied this demand in recent years, which has resulted in high prices. Last year, we entered the season with castor averaging close to $100 per pound. The market weakened throughout the season, and I was hearing reports of $60 to $70. But the late season auction saw a run up to the price back to the $100 mark, and will likely to continue to sell castor at last year's levels. Otter prices haven't changed much in years. They'll probably continue to sell for $15 to $25, which is a shame for such a nice quality pelt. Many people are having their otter pelts tanned the last couple years and have explored several ideas for unique uses of these pelts. Marten is one of the items that sold a bit better than expected towards the end of last season. With uncertainty around the availability of Russian sable in the world market, many buyers may turn to the North American marten as an alternative. Heavy marten from northern Canada and Alaska should bring north of $40 with some room for advancement. The lower 48 marten will be in the $20 to $30 range. Fisher will probably continue to average $20 to $30. This is another item that I have chosen to keep tanned and seek alternative markets rather than sell into the poor price environment. The demand for better quality Western bobcats have waned recently. Instead of averaging $300 to $500 like years past, I have seen a new reality for these pelts in the $200 to $300 range. The good news is the lower end of the bobcat market has moved up over the last year or so. These bobcats from Canada and parts of the lower 48 outside of the top western sections may continue to bring averages of $60 to $90. However, any weakness in the market could send these prices down to the $30 to $50 range. Nobody seems interested in red and grays, foxes. They probably fetch around $10 on average. Skunks will sell well. There seems to be a specialty market for them, at about $5, perhaps more at local auctions. Northern wilderness trappers. Those living a lifestyle myself and others have dreamed about are fortunate enough to have a few species that will sell well even in poor markets. Wolves and wolverines are harvested in small numbers and always have adequate demand for respectable prices, around $250 to $500 on average. Canada lynx aren't in great demand but have been selling at slightly advanced levels recently, and limited harvest may help put link averages north of $60. Granted, this may be a small consolation for a northern trapper with elevated price of fuel and supplies needed to travel great distances in the bush. For several years doing this fur market report, I've hoped that we've seen the bottom and have better prices just around the corner, but a rebound has yet to materialize. The reality is that might not happen anytime soon. The market is changing, and we as trappers and fur harvesters are going to have to change and adapt with it. In words of the old mountain men, fur will shine again. Will it shine as bright as days of the past fur booms, or just a glimmer of its former self? Time will tell. This video was brought to us by Trapping Today's Fur Market Forecast from trappingtoday.com. Be sure to check them out as they are a great website to watch. Thank you for watching this episode of Outdoor Experiences. We will catch you on the next one.